Folks, welcome inside the Parisi Palace. This is the Jake Feinberg Show. Happy good afternoon, evening, next day, wherever you are in this world. And what an honor it is to bring back really a great musician, someone who's always been interested in the conversation, deep conversation, sophisticated conversation, but rooted in the blues. And I think it's important. He's very accessible to cats, and he's not walled off like a lot of people. So no matter what, like the Dharma that he's creating in the real time will carry on in transition and reincarnation, because he will have influenced many, many amazing rhythmists and, maybe even other cats play other instruments who can keep their own time and let the rhythm section, play and dance. Mike Clark, welcome back to the Jake Feinberg Show.
Thank you, Jake. I'm honored to be here, and I wanted to say one thing
Sure.
about all the stuff you just said. Totally humbling, but I want you to know, as far as transitioning, I'm staying, and I'm going to miss all you cats. It's going to be rough, but I've decided to make a go of it. I'm staying.
No. Listen, let me be very clear. Stay. I want you to be timeless. But what I'm saying is, I think there's a lot of people who sort of mail it in, and maybe they just feel they've done all they need to do. I mean, just your chutzpah and gumption and the need to just create and play. So many my peers, younger cats, you're just having a profound impact, because you could also be isolated and cut off. But I mean, you've been playing since you were like a boy, like a young boy.
Yeah.
Like not many people have been playing since they were 5 years old,
I know most guys that do that are classically trained, but my father did that. He just took me to all those places, and I was a natural drummer, so he was like, "Let's do this thing." So I was lucky in that regard. And I was kidding about staying. My father, in fact, used to say that. He said, "Man, we'd be at the table. I'd be 4 or 5 years old, and I'd start crying, and my mother would say, 'Why are you crying, Michael?' And I'd say, 'I don't want to die, Mom.' And my father would say, 'Well, I'll tell you one thing. I'm going to miss you, because I'm staying. I ain't going anywhere.'"
Hey, man, what it is. Like anyway, we can go on about this for a while. But I got an audio clip to play for you. I want you to take a listen to this, and we'll come back and talk about it.
Absolutely. Okay.
Just give it a minute here.
All right.
The Montgomery brothers were playing jazz.
Here we go.
They were playing jazz. They couldn't hang with blues musicians, man. You can make a blues musician jazz musician. You can't make a jazz musician blues musician.
Oh, I love it. Wait, explain that, though. I mean, most people would never, in today's world, everything is so tech chops driven. So they would assume younger cats would say the opposite. But why can't you make a jazz musician a blues? Why can't they hang?
Well,
because the music comes out of blues. It doesn't go the opposite way. I mean, if you tried to make a little white boy from Walnut Creek play country and western, that'd be just hard for him too. Country, I mean, it goes both ways. It's not only in the jazz and blues, but you can't make a jazz musician. Calvin Keys is a friend of mine, but if I asked him to sit still on one chord for 5 or 10 minutes, he shit on himself. He can't stay there. He got to move, man. You know what I'm saying? And he might not even know why. You know what I'm saying? But that music was born out of a lot of patience and plowing fields. And anybody that didn't do that, you can go up from the bottom, but it's hard to come down. People got a lot of money.
Okay, Mike Clark. I know you wanted to jump in there. That was Johnny Talbot. He blew my mind, dude. It was like, to me, it's one of the heaviest interviews, Mike, because most of the cats from that early 60s period, pre-Sly, like you kind of came, like you were mixing around 66, 67. Talbot's like, dude, I brought the Montgomery brothers had a residency and a gig at the Booker T. Washington Hotel. When I brought up their names, he said they couldn't hang with us. I really want you to riff any way you want about this idea that you can go from the bottom up, but it's hard to come down.
Well, let's see. I know that when I play with, I think for me, I'm this is me coming from MySpace.
Yeah.
Is when I played with some of the blues guys way back, those were blues gigs and blues bands. They played shuffles and only a couple of chords, 3 chords, and the truth, and they had a handful of notes. But a jazz musician like Wes Montgomery can play a hell of a blues, but it's not the kind of blues. And if we're sitting around listen to him play the blues, because we can hear the blues in it and what he's talking about. We can understand his dialogue.
Exactly.
And dialect. But now, if he were to go on a gig with Freddie King, I'm not saying he can't do it, but if he played the blues the way we're used to, like bumping, not bumping, I mean the thumb.
I did.
Or some of the stuff that he did with Jimmy Smith, a blues here and there, it would sound different probably to those guys who play like Muddy Waters and this type of thing, and are coming from that Delta thing and sort of modernized during Chicago or whenever in Texas, whatever that time period was there, after a little after T-Bone Walker, who was also part of the modernization, if you will. These
Absolutely.
Yeah. So if you put a guy like, you could put T-Bone Walker, like you've seen that video, I'm sure, where he's playing with Dizzy Gillespie and Louis Belson.
No, dude, there's a great record. I have the record. I have the. It's so great.
Okay.
Yeah.
And yeah, but I mean, if you took that rhythm section and had them play pre-boogaloo stuff,
right.
like with Lowell Folsom. Well, maybe Lowell Folsom. I should choose somebody else. Freddie King, let's say, or Albert
Folsom's
Collins.
Okay. Folsom's all right. That's a good example.
Yeah. It would be. It wouldn't be the kind of musicians they're used to hearing on the gigs that they do and the pool of artists they draw from, each having its own kind of rules and regulations and don't do's and all of this type of stuff. So I dig where the guy's coming from when he said that, and of course. I didn't work out in the fields or do any of that stuff. So
but you know what I want to say to you about? There's a few things that are going through my head. Number one, Wes had a concrete. He was a concrete mixer in Indianapolis. He had 8 children.
Yep.
He had a bluesy life. Okay, like there's no doubt he lived the blues. He didn't sharecrop. Wasn't down there. But he had his own version of it. And that's what I wanted to say, is because Charlie Neville, Mike Clark, Sonny Rollins before you, Cannon, Train, they all walked the bar. They all played R&B before they got into the intellectual music. Okay, the bebop. They played the more R&B and the raw stuff. I mean, that's what I'm getting at, is don't you believe you have to become ensconced in that maybe less sophisticated blues heavy music in order to play spiritual improvisational music like jazz?
I've had to go back and forth at one point between the two to physically, like actually do the gigs to make a living.
Mm-hmm.
And I would play completely one way with one group of guys that was in one camp, and then I'd have to cross over on the other side and play completely a different way. And even in each camp, there were different degrees of what, like there was, I remember in the 60s, there was the Miles Davis camp and the John Coltrane camp, and whatever group of believers you played with, you kind of had to do something to accommodate the gig.
Wow. Wait, I'm sorry. What was the split there? What was that about?
Well, a lot of people were really digging Tony and the Miles and that and the way they were throwing down, and a lot of people and then a lot of people were more into the trip like Train and Jimmy Garrison and Elvin Jones and McCoy, and so even though people say, "Oh, don't ever copy," and this, believe me, they may not have copied the exact stuff, but there was a trend.
You are absolutely. I know that those loft scenes with Lenny White and Liebman, they were listening to Interstellar Space. They were getting off on. You're absolutely right. Yeah.
Yeah, and I had to like play, and then there was the bebop guys that didn't approve of either of those things I just spoke about. And in order to make a living, I finally had to be able to walk that line. So I'm still all of those things and not any one of them. I'm still like sort of one of those kind of cats. You know what I mean?
I love
split
this,
up
dude.
all of it.
I mean, it's so fascinating. I mean, can you talk about, do you think that some of your students or even just younger cats in some ways, because the way the education of jazz has changed so much that they, I mean, I know I've asked you this before, but in terms of, you can't just go back and study something. So how can cats really understand the blues if you didn't? I mean, those car trips with Delbert McClinton, the cars broke down. I'm sure there were plenty of gigs where you got ripped off as a band. I mean, you live the blues, and it's hard to live the blues if you're going to USC on a scholarship from overseas and you're just having a ball and playing with the cats in the university. You're not playing with the cats with the rubber bands around their horns,
Well, I would say that there's, if you're like one guy I used to play with, he just a guitar player. He just took me in a Ford station wagon, and for about 2 weeks we sort of lived in the station wagon. He slept in the back, and I slept in the front seat. He had a shotgun.
Oh, man.
And he had a shotgun. This is down south too in the '60s. I was a young guy, but Miles Davis said, "Hey, I grew up rich and went to school. I can play the blues." So I think maybe, and then, but at the same time, Charlie Parker said, "If you don't live it, it won't come out your horn." So I'm not sure really. I play with some guys just got it. Maybe they had a tough childhood. Maybe it's not about having a bad time, because the blues is also about joy.
And I think it's also about, I think it's about feeling. It's like being able to feel.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of what you're saying. I think you're right. Miles was sensitive cat. He could feel, and he could channel that feeling, that bluesy feeling. So it's just, that's what, the reason I brought up the Talbot quote to begin with was just because you were on the scene with Bobby Freeman, and in 65, I mean, before that, it seems to me Jimmy McCracklin, Talbot, and I'm forgetting somebody else. Who were they were the funksters. I mean, what Talbot said in a later part of the interview was that at the time, mass media was basically 3 television stations, but Sly integrated his band and cleaned up his lyrics, and next thing you know, he's on Ed Sullivan. I mean, Talbot said, they wouldn't take my funk. I was the original funk guy from Oakland. I mean, can you shed a little bit of light when you came on the scene and what that was about? Because for my generation and younger, we all think things start in the Summer of Love, but that, in terms of funk music, I know you.
Oh, no, way, geez, that I would say funk music goes back so far that I have no idea.
Wait a minute. Okay, so break it down. You're telling me late early 50s?
Way before that. Well, the funk that we know comes from that. Yeah, but the funk that those guys got came from the 30s. I mean, it may not have sounded like James Brown, but there was a lot of real soulful, bluesy, gritty music, and not all of it was swing and shuffle. Some of it was in 8/8,
Really?
And the guy to ask this question to is Donald Harrison. No kidding,
dude. He made one. What he did. Bro. I need to talk to that cat, man. Because he's just like, he looks at my post. Yep. He's like, this is as serious as a heart attack. I love that guy, man.
Oh yeah, he's tremendous. In fact, he just hit me up a minute ago, and I told him I was doing this. But
you're talking about so he would know. I mean, I guess here's the point.
Yeah,
I'm talking about the funk. I'm talking about the funk that we know that you layered on, like that early 50s?
Well,
Who's
think,
early 50s funk for you?
Yeah, well, around the Bay Area, I was. I'm going to preface this answer by this.
Yeah.
There's a group of people. We get together and interview people, the Stick People, and it's Lenny White, Greg Rico. Speaking of the Stones,
Yep.
Sly Stone.
Sly Stone,
yep.
yeah.
David Garibaldi, myself, and the great Michael Shreve, and we're called the Stick People, and we're starting to launch this thing here pretty soon. And last night we did an interview with Joel Selwyn. And man, that cat was mentioning. Now I remember playing with Little Junior Sharper and Alice Jean Davis and some of these people around the Bay Area way, way back. Actually, my friend, a great drummer, Fred Eatonberg, was on those gigs, but when I was in high school. But I would end up. I moved
Fred
to Oakland.
Eatonberg? Are you kidding me?
Fred, yeah,
Whoa,
he's
dude.
a tremendous. Yeah, Fred lives in Florida, and he's bad.
Oh,
and
I got to get to that cat immediately, dude.
Yeah, he's a bad boy, man.
Man.
He was on that scene. There used to be a armory. Well, this guy Joel Selwyn knew these guys, and I've been mentioning these names since high school, and now they were getting funky. ZZ Hill was one of the first guys, not from the 50s, but in the 60s, I heard using those real funky beats that a few years later Otis Redding and them.
Wow, can you hit me? You got to hit me to some of those tracks. You got some music. You got to hit me to some of that. That's off my radar.
Check out ZZ Hill.
Yeah, no, but I mean, you're talking ZZ Hill like 65?
Probably, yeah.
Wow.
And oh yeah, for sure, 63 maybe even.
Whoa.
Little Junior Parker and Little Johnny Taylor had some 8/8 songs. If you want to consider that funk, they're not shuffles.
Exactly, and it's acoustic music, right? I mean, it's acoustic. It's not electric.
Well, it had electric. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I'd say the basses were acoustic for sure.
Yeah.
And Little Richard had the drummer. What was his name? Chuck something. I think it's Chuck Charles. Maybe that James Brown ripped off, according to Little Richard. From Little Richard, he played a left-handed drum set, and this guy, James Brown, attributes to the first guy to bring the funk on the drums the way we know it. And I think this was in the 50s, so kind of like 57. Because, before this stuff got on the radio, they were already doing it.
That's right. No, I mean, that was the revelatory thing. Because literally, I mean, in pop culture, mainstream culture, it is Sly Stone, the messages, because it was sucked into a cultural revolution. And then that music, I mean, even you said to me, and I mean, that's all fairness, it's all terminology and language. But, even in the late 60s, even during Sly's Renaissance, when you were cooking with, you were going to Pierce Street Annex, playing with Giraldi or seeing Marsh and Zeitlin, there was no word for funk. It was, let's play a funky blues. The word didn't come along for like 6 more years after that. But the cats were playing the rhythms before anybody could even see them when it was just on the radio. It's unbelievable, really.
I had an interesting thing today. I was giving a lesson to a guy today, and he was like, well, when did you come up with your version of the Oakland thing? Because I didn't really get it from anybody. I didn't know David Garibaldi or any of those guys yet. This is way before that. Right. But I was on Oregon gigs year after year. I thought it was a perpetual, it was never going to stop. And 5 nights a week, usually 4 or 5, Yeah. And so we'd play Mercy, Mercy. And they'd always request and instead of playing the regular groove that most every drummer I ever heard play it, I started... there was a woman singer who left the band, and I missed the sound of the tambourine, so I started filling in with the 16th note thing, and when I did, the organ player was like, "Yeah," and the people could really dance to it because I didn't. I took my time about it, and then I started because I got such a great reaction from the crowd. Not the band, me. They were coming to me like, "What's that thing you're doing?" I'm like, "Man, I don't know. I'm kind of making it up right now." Wow. And then I started doing it to everything, no matter what the tune, as long as it was a funk tune.
Sure, sure.
And ballads too. There was a way to play a real slow ballad, and do so, and it sounded cool. And who I got that from was Melvin Parker with James Brown, except I broke it all up between the different, the snare, the hi-hat, and the bass drum. He played like, all on the hi-hat with the 2 and 4 backbeat, and I splattered it all over the damn place, and so.
This is what I want. I wanted to. How integral in your mind was the fact that I remember George Porter told me, he's like, a lot of the earlier recordings, I think he's talking 40s, 50s. The bass drum was really not prevalent in the mix, which is, antithetical to what's going on in pop music today, where it's so upfront, pulsating, no dynamics really. Most of it's electronic anyway. How much do you think that played a role in your ears, because you really had an open palette to use the bass drum, because it was just not a priority on the music that we love?
Well, I was a jazz drummer, not a funk drummer, so I had a whole bunch of bass drum stuff together from playing jazz, and I just figured, I never thought about it. It didn't occur to me not to use it. I didn't fill it all up, but I could play some syncopation that most of the drummers that only played funk, they didn't have the coordination at that time. Now, forget it. Everybody can, please. But, it's become so sophisticated. Oh,
right. It's
totally.
Too much, yeah.
But at that time, it was like, hey, man, what do you do? They thought I was rolling with one hand. And it was, and a lot of that, my father took me to New Orleans all the time, and I would hear those bass drums all syncopated. I had no idea what they were playing, so I made my own way up of trying to remember what I heard when I was a kid. And I just sort of threw it against the wall, and the stuff that I felt stuck, I kept in, and the stuff that was, too much clutter, I got rid of.
Talking to Mike Clark here on the Jake Feinberg Show, I heard you mention a name, and I'm not going to let you get away with it here. Again, going back to Talbot, he's talking about Alice Jean, a.k.a. Faye Carroll. And you said you played with Alice Jean?
I played with Alice Jean Davis. Yeah, he mentioned Alice Jean. Now, last night, Selwyn didn't even know her. That's the first time. You're the first person I've heard that knows anybody that knew her.
Well, this is
I didn't really know her. I did a couple of gigs, but her voice, she sang "I'm no good, baby, I'm no good," and her voice ripped through my brain for about 8 months after I played with her.
Well, he said this is what Talbot said. He said the first black basketball player that went to the Olympics, Don Barksdale, started a radio station, KWBR, which eventually became KDIA. He was the first disc jockey on the station. He was playing Alice Jean records. The black community heard a little black girl from Pittsburgh that could sing her ass off.
Oh, boy.
I think we were just out of high school, and doo-wop was king. It traveled around the neighborhoods in Oakland. She was historical here.
Yes, and if you really want to know about Alice Jean, Freddie Eatonberg knows, because he was on a ton of.
No, we're going to talk. I'm going to get Freddie on the phone. That's unbelievable, Eatonberg, dude.
Yeah, and he also was the guy playing with Little Junior Sharper. I only did a few hits, but because the music, but those hits that I did led me to a whole world of rhythm and blues guys around the Bay Area, and I started, but I started to really be popular on that scene, but then the organ player got me, and that was like jazz and funk. So I was like, no, I got to do this, like
absolutely
jazz cats. So I was like, no, I'm sorry, but I got to do this. But wow, yeah.
Oh no, you know what it is, Jim. With I mean, it's so easy when you're young. And you're out there, and you're feeling good, and you're confident, and you're making up things. I mean, did you, especially with this time now, through modern medicine and just, evolution, we live longer than we did. I mean, in 1973, Blood, Sweat, and Tears did a song, "Are You Satisfied?" And it was like they were talking about digging a grave at 64. And here's the what I wanted to get at is, do you feel like you took anything for granted even when things were swimming. I remember when Herbie offered the gig to you, you're like, I don't even want to leave Oakland. I'm making a great living. It's a great life. Like, did you stop and smell the roses? Do you feel like you have anything in terms of this coronavirus, especially the inability to play live, to be able to do sort of your yoga on the bandstand, and looking back at some of the more fruitful years, do you think you took some of that for granted, or were you always sort of, or did you only start checking yourself once you learned to chant and sort of cultivate meditation?
Well, my mother, when my father left my mother, I was very, very young, and a woman had a stigma if she was divorced in the early 50s. So she was on welfare for long enough that they hired her. So I had to work. If I wanted a bike, I had to work, or if I'd have a paper route, and I started playing in pizza parlors with little jazz bands. So I always worked, and I always had a huge appreciation for being able to work and to do the work. And I think, unfortunately, I might have taken the music for granted because there was so much of it.
That's what I mean. It was everywhere.
Yeah, it was. But later, before Buddhism, I started to have a deep appreciation for the guys that went before me and the music that I've been able to play and been able to hear, even if I'm not playing, the records, the live performances I attended. Yeah, I had some serious appreciation for that. By the time I got to my early 20s, I was steeped. I was pretty well, thank you so much.
It was gratitude. Gratitude was the attitude.
Yeah,
unbelievable.
Yeah.
So and the meditation, the chanting helped you sort of get, like, it was an ego death kind of thing. Like, what did you still need to? Because I mean, that's pretty early age to, and I mean, you had the world at your fingers, and there was a real music industry outside of the recording studios. So it's like, I mean, what was the chanting? How did that help your evolution?
Well, I had to it immediately did two things. It put me in sync with the universe so that the things I were chanting about, believe this or not, were starting to manifest.
I know, I dig.
And I'm like, whoa. But I thought it was magic at first.
It is kind of magic, though. Yeah, I dig.
And well, what was happening was, it was also bringing to light the imperfections and the negative side of my personality. So both were happening. The positive side was drawing benefit, and the negative side, the universe was showing. I was bringing this out so that I could see it, and that way I was able to make changes, which brings more benefit. Like if you change what's going on the inside, then the environment manifests automatically, because you're seeing yourself differently, and therefore you see everybody else differently with respect and dignity. And so people start calling you to do things and gigs, and you start the more real. And I was digging deep in my life at that point, because I'm listening to Coltrane like 24 hours a day, and I'm trying to find some kind of enlightenment, and so I was serious about my inner transformation.
Can you give an example of, like, the universe showing you sort of your darker side and how you kind of cleaned that up?
Okay, I probably shouldn't say this.
Well, I mean, whatever. Yeah.
No, I'm not gonna. Yeah. I was arrested for having I've been arrested 3 times for violence,
Mm-hmm.
and
I have myself, so part of the club.
Okay, so then it's part of us.
I mean, we're human animals, man. No, it happened.
Yeah, absolutely. So I made a determination never to do this, not just to put myself in check, but to change what's going on, the anger inside my life. And now when I see people hard vibing me on the street, or looking threatening towards me, I used to answer every one of those gazes, every person staring at me with a stare back, and I'd be refused to turn my eyes away.
Wow.
I was like, I was walking around ready.
Yep.
And this has been with me since a child, because when my mother was on welfare, I was in some heavy neighborhoods. So this protection and this fear that causes this reaction has been with me since I can, I don't know, 5th grade, 4th grade, for crying out. But and also a lot of head injuries, so I have had anger issues. So from car wrecks and a couple other things that I won't go into, where I really had some concussions. So I change now. When I see these people, I still see them, but I give them a pleasant look, because I realize they're human beings that are upset inside. They're angry, and they probably got a damn good reason to be.
Right.
And so I try to make my vibe or my presence around them soothing, instead of like, you looking at me, you know what I mean? So I had to chant a lot to change that, because I come from a family of 4 professional boxers, and I'm not particularly as skilled in art of self-defense. I really don't know too much about it, but I had this problem, and and it would so I don't have that problem anymore. I'm glad to see people, even people looking threatening at me on the subway. I'm like, I see you, brother, but man, I love you, man. It's cool.
Wow.
And man,
wow.
I smile. Yeah. It's like,
Wow.
I'm not the way. That's a huge change for me, because it used to be, all right, motherfucker, please. No,
I feel that, like, very. I mean, I'm very happy that you've. I mean, was there like a close call early on in your practice? I mean, to me, it's like the fact that you haven't dealt with that. How did you wean yourself? I think it's important to talk to people, for people to know that are struggling with any kind of. I mean, it was part of your bloodline. I mean, how are you supposed to? You grew up scuffling with people, boxing, fighting. It was the natural inclination, and Lord knows a lot of horrendous stuff goes on every day against human beings and brutality and things. But I mean, what are the intangibles? What side of your brain? What did you have to work on to strengthen the discipline and the focus?
When I was born, I had forceps to pull me out, and they cut my head all up, and my brain. So I've been injured a lot with heavy head injuries, which really causes a lot of uncontrollable rages. And I'm not mad all the time. I'd be a really mild and nice person, but if I would. Well, I used to be afraid to fight or anything like that. And then something happened after the last car wreck that damn near killed me, and I really hurt my head. And I all of a sudden was ready to engage, and I can't explain it. And I'm not a badass. I'm not a tough dude. I'm not a big dude. I don't know any martial arts. I don't know any of that shit. And but I can't even explain this. It sounds like I'm fronting, because it was fear-based. Fear-based.
Yeah, but you also have chosen, because of your mom's situation, and just sort of your point of view about fairness and equity and the one human race concept. I mean, you've always been pulling for the underdog. So you've always been scrapping and fighting. You were playing those Black Panther concerts just because you were hanging with Paul. But, I mean, you were always on the side of the underserved.
Well, my parents were heavy into civil rights, and they were, they were wanting change in this area, and so my training was this: any disrespect of any human or humanity you have to fight against that at all times. So that was just part of my upbringing too. My parents were deep on that particular mindset.
Well, no, but I was going to say is you had to learn the difference. You definitely fight for the right causes for civil rights, but for a long time for you you fought physically. Like that was a detriment to you, and you've learned to channel
well,
that
I
energy.
did it. I did at times. Yeah, I mean, I wasn't walking up and down the street fighting with people, but yeah, it wasn't like that. I mean,
You're like, yeah, I got a
sometimes
session, but I'm going to go out looking for a fight right now.
Yeah, I got to go out and kick somebody. No, well, yeah, no, but occasionally, and I lived in poverty neighborhoods, and so violence was all over. I mean, I had told you before. I don't want to go. A lot of people who I loved were killed, wow. And my wife was one of them, and murdered. And so, I guess I'm going in a weird direction with this interview.
Mike. Mike, can I be honest? I mean, that just speaks to the blues element of life. I mean, that's a very horrific, traumatic situation to have your wife.
Yeah, the Crips did it. I mean, it's like, but so at this point in my life, I'm really thankful to have survived this long.
Dude, you're not going anywhere. You told me that. You're not going anywhere.
I'm staying, as a matter of fact.
You're staying, man. Dude, you have so much more to do.
I feel
it's
like my dad. I'm going to miss everybody. You know what I mean? Anyway, yeah. So it's been, there was a time in my life, 30, 40 years, where it was real. That's all I can say.
No, I mean, it's so real. And that's the cool thing. It wasn't synthetic or artificial, and that's what's happening today, so it's hard. You actually, there was a lot of pain and a lot of pleasure. I want to read you this quote. I did a great interview. I had such a great time with this cat. He said, this is Vince Denham. He said, I played every club that was on Broadway in San Francisco over a 5-year period. One night I was working right next to the Jazz Workshop and Train was playing there. On my breaks, I'd go over and sit and listen and take it all in. I didn't appreciate or understand the depth of what I was witnessing at the time that it was happening. And then I became aware and studied it more. It's about trying to express life going on in the moment or at the moment. We'd say, let's play that shit. And that meant the funk stuff that Mike and Paul came up with. Paul would play stuff that we'd never heard anybody play. Nobody else could play it. We never had a song we'd just blow, start a groove, and leave. We'd go on endlessly. So many drummers in that area didn't dig it. But all of a sudden, Mike's playing with Herbie, and everybody's trying to cop what he did.
Yeah, well, they wanted me. I was a jazz drummer, right. And all of a sudden I'm playing this funky stuff. So my jazz buddy drum friends around there are like, no, man.
They didn't dig it. So, I mean, but that's the point. Marty Ballin from Jefferson Airplane, he's like, you know what? There are going to be all these people in your life. They're either going to get you or they're not. And the ones that don't are going to criticize you, and you just let that shit go. You just do your thing.
Well, and plus these drummers were good jazz drummers, but they could barely play boogaloo, and I'm playing all this backwards, inside out, metric.
No, man, quit that stuff, man.
Well, ain't nobody gonna know where one is. What are you doing? Too much shit, blah blah blah. As a matter of fact, I saw a kid today playing something that people. I don't even know who he was. Yeah. But he was playing. Like those Elvin triplets in one hand, and playing the hi-hat with his right hand, and then playing a 2-4 backbeat with some nice bass drum work. Man, I started to do that in about 1970 because I was already playing the Elvin stuff in the left hand. Right. We all were. Roy Haynes, if you want to say him, just a triplet, the back half of the triplet, and cats were like, "Oh man, that's too much, man." No, man, just play like Al Jackson.
Right.
Now today, I see a kid doing it, man, and cats are writing in on YouTube like, man, look at that. Hey, that's the brand new stuff. And I was like, wait a minute, But
you know what I want you to talk about. Well, this is really what I want you to talk about. Is twofold question. Is do you really believe that new musical vocabulary can only be made up on the bandstand like you guys were doing, as opposed to anything else in academia? And then number two, for younger cats who are trying to be themselves, How'd you deal with the grief at that time? Was that a time when you would, I mean, maybe you didn't go to blows with these cats, but it was really about, no, Mike, conform, man. Just conform. And you're like, no, and why didn't, I mean, it's not why you didn't, how did you do it? Explain to younger cats.
Well, I couldn't help but not conform, and I don't think I was trying to be a nonconformist. Whatever it was that I did with the drums, I couldn't help. I couldn't not do it.
Just
I couldn't help but do it.
Yeah.
But these guys that were saying this stuff about me, I liked them, so I tried to actually bridge. I tried to actually keep my friendship intact with these people, even though they were disapproving of what I was doing. Because before I was one of them. You know what I mean? And then all of a sudden, Paul and I had this crazy magic thing that we did together, and I started, and not only did we do this, but we both started expanding it. Before anybody had even heard it, we were expanding it. Well, we landed on it one day in the practice room and started, even once we had it, we started expanding on it that very day. So, that's how young artists are. They got good reflexes. Their brains are working quickly. The chemicals are all firing. So you're expanding on everything you're learning. You learn it, and then you go, okay, I got that. Now what? You know what I mean? Like so. But I did want to.
Go ahead.
Well, no, I want. I've been doing some things lately. I want to talk about, but
yeah, go ahead.
If there's anything else you want to say on this, on that, first of all, here I should say this: Vince Denham is a great musician and one of my favorite people, and he's been a forward-thinking guy as long as I've known him, and I've known him forever, man. I met him when he must have been 22 years old, and he was searching also.
Well, this is the last thing that I really on my agenda, but he just, I don't even have an agenda, but he just said San Francisco was more of a pure jazz thing, and the East Bay was younger drummers. For some reason, Mike Clark, Paul Jackson, Garibaldi, we were all on that side of the line. And this is the part I want you to talk about. Everybody used to play more intense. People would look around and say, "This is too intense. This is too intense. It's too this. It's too that." We'd look at San Francisco guys and say, "Those guys are playing what they did 30 years ago." It was important to prove when you were young that there was a new voice in town that added to the mix. I just wonder if you're playing with urgency, if you're playing intensely. To me, that means you're kind of taking what you did in the laboratory and bringing it out on the bandstand, but regurgitating old hash. Old bebop. Well, I want your point about how to grow vocabulary, because there's this whole thing about, you got to go back to bebop. No, actually, it's like, it's like part of me is just like the intensity. It's just going to sound flat if you're playing predictable stuff, as opposed to intense stuff that's coming out of your soul, and you have no idea what's going to happen because you've been in the lab.
Well, you're at all of that you're saying is I come from bebop and groove, and so but the thing is what was really going on, according to me, you got San Francisco on the West Coast. All right, there's this beautiful hippie, all this cross-cultural, fucked up
freedom,
and at the same time, the temperature is tepid and 50 degrees almost all year round. It ain't New York. And we're playing East Coast shit on the West Coast. It wasn't that it was over the top and all crazy. The stuff that would get you hired on the East Coast would get you fired on the West Coast.
Wow.
Except in forward-thinking groups like, I'm not talking about funk stuff now. I'm talking about like jazz stuff, So, and because also, even if you played regular licks from 1945 or 50 or whatever, and because I do that, I sometimes do that now.
Of course. Of course. Yeah.
But what I mean by that is the velocity. Most of the jazz gigs at that time on the West Coast sounded like a wedding kind of gig. Not that they were.
Latiano and Clark busted that whole thing up, dude.
Yeah, exactly.
Unbelievable,
it was like, it was like they just be kind of playing real, and it wasn't very much. No, it certainly wasn't too much grease.
No
in the
punch. No
grooves,
punch
and
at all.
So
Yeah.
yeah, and it was like kind of culturally pale, if you will, and it was just like so. Now Oakland, all hell was there was a fire going on in Oakland, man. You know what I mean?
I love.
And so I stayed over there because it was had more. I could play my stuff over there, and everybody got it. It wasn't a problem.
But here's the thing. I'm just thinking about this now. I mean, how can younger cats cultivate that fire in a society where they just want to pacify people with music now? They want to pacify. They want to tampen down culture. People don't even know what culture is anymore. Charlie Persip said, "We're just one big civilization." Is there an organic? Rest in peace. Is there an organic way to create that fire again? Because let's face it, there was a lot of brutality, but there weren't any cameras around. Cats were, Merle Haggard went to jail 12 times and was making hit records. We were a less punitive society. We are a police state now. Is there a way to create that fire indigenously, or do you see it with younger cats that you work with, maybe?
Well, on the jazz side, I hear some fantastic younger cats, and even in the schools when I do clinics in colleges and stuff before COVID, there was always one or two or more guys in there that could not only really play the instrument, but they had the stuff, man.
Yeah.
And I don't know how they got it, but they had it.
Yeah, it's just in the soul, I guess. Yep, I did.
I guess so. Yep. I don't know. There was just that period. Was a cultural revolution going on in the late 60s and 70s and everything. And whatever happened in the Bay Area during that went all over the world. People started dressing different. Miles started dressing different. All of us, it was a whole, and wherever you could go to Montana or you could go to Utah, and by the way people dressed, you could find people in your tribe.
Exactly, dude. Benny Maupin was wearing overalls, man. It was great. It was so great.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, here's one thing I wanted to tell you.
Go ahead.
I want to brag a little bit about a couple of things I got going on right now that are fun to talk about.
Go ahead, man. Do it.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right. Well, one of them is I'm on a record with the great. It's with Leon Dorsey, bassist. Leon Lee Dorsey.
Oh my God!
And,
I was just dude, Alan
friend of
Toussaint.
mine.
Oh my God!
And well, he has a record out now called "Thank You, Mr. Mayburn," and it was the last record with the great Harold Mayburn, the last record he made.
Legend.
And it's number 7 in the jazz charts right now. And I was now of course, and Harold talked to me about Memphis, and he played with B.B. King, and I think he told me he played with Elvis when they were doing door gigs.
Definitely. I mean, there's no doubt. It's definitely big possibility.
Also, Little Milton Campbell, one of my huge favorites. He played. So we recorded on this record a bunch of jazz stuff, Moment's Notice, some of the regular repertoire. But we also did I'm Walking.
Wow.
That's Dominoes too. And of course we turned it upside down. And then but also I don't know. So me and Leon and Michael, I'm a little scattered here. I've been teaching all day online, and
I know, but I have the ability to totally screw you up, man. So yeah, go ahead.
Okay,
yeah.
All right. So here's the thing. Michael Wolf has a record coming out next month, live at Vitello's on Sunnyside, and it's with me, John B. Williams. Now get this, Mark Isham is playing trumpet on it.
Well, so, I love John B. too. One of the nastiest bass players ever.
Oh,
is he playing upright? Is he playing upright or?
Yeah. No, it's all straight ahead.
Oh, that's great.
Record.
It's great.
And I can't. So that's that. And then also, I don't know if you heard this, but Leon Dorsey, Michael, and I had a record out under all of our names where we played Beatles music, but Sgt. Pepper. 8 tracks from tunes from Sgt. Pepper, but we played it all straight ahead, swinging.
Whoa!
And acoustic.
So, how? I guess maybe the better question is how can cats find this material? Where can they go?
Oh, just go on Amazon. It's all over the place, or to any.
But I mean, is there, if they go to, is it more lucrative for the musicians if they go to your website or is it Amazon or one of those bigger?
No, they should go to Amazon because like I'm not doing much with. I've been so. It's weird. It's COVID, and I'm busy as hell.
Man. I talked to Marsh the other day. Marsh is
right.
Marsh is. You guys are busier and more productive in making more dough off online Zoom stuff through universities or lessons. I think it's actually. I mean, it's been a traumatic, and the post-traumatic stress disorder coming out of this thing is going to be intense, more psychological than anything else. But I know you guys are definitely singing for your supper. Did you play with Big Joe Williams or Johnny Young ever?
No, I wish. I did not. I played with
Otis
O.C.
Rush.
Smith.
You played with OC?
Yeah, and also John Hendricks, and I'm trying to think of some blues shouters that were more on the jazz side.
Well, you play at the Trident with John Hendricks? Who did you play with at the Trident with John Hendricks, or where did you play with him?
No, El Matador. The El Matador.
El Matador. Oh,
yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, I mean, it's interesting because, the thing that I want to sort of, wrap this up on is just the idea of, coming out of coronavirus. Well, you played. My buddy sent me. It's funny. My buddy, a very great guitar player, doesn't play professionally, but is just a head cat, and he sent me the trio gig, or I guess there was a trio gig that you played at a club recently.
Yeah,
and
Smalls the other night.
What? Like, okay, so I guess who is so there's philanthropy going on in order to make sure that the thing can be recorded, musicians paid, staff paid. What is the vibe? The East Coast is it doesn't matter to me where it doesn't matter if there's, no mask or mask. This is a psychological conundrum anywhere you go. I was just curious about how you felt and really I don't like to use expectations. What are your intentions going forward once, quote unquote, things go back to normal?
I'm looking for my computer because I wrote something today, and it's a beautiful question.
Good.
And if I can find
please.
computer, I'm going to answer it for you. Because I wrote something about this today. I've been writing things. Hey, while I'm looking for the computer, it'll be worth your wait rather than just go,
sure.
Well,
it's fine.
Right in that pocket. But I want to say also, how does a grown man lose it's quite a large computer.
It's all right. Dude, listen, it's a heavy quote. It's probably hidden under stuff,
God. But I want to tell you while I'm looking for the.
So you got all these. I have
another.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I have a record coming out that I'm really, really extremely excited about in July 16th, as a matter of fact, and it's my record, and it's with Mike Zilber, and it's on Sunnyside, and it's called Mic Drop. Mike Zilber is a great saxophone player. He's brilliant. And the great Peter Barchet from Oakland on bass.
Dude, that guy I love sick,
Barchet.
Man.
And a killer modern hard swinging piano player named Matt Clark, who has played with he's done a whole lot, but he's living out in the Bay Area. And sometimes when guys are out there, they don't get the love they would if they were in New York.
No, man, they definitely don't get the love.
Yeah.
No, what was the vibe of the gig you played? How did you feel? What was it like?
Well, first of all, hats off to Spike Wilner for keeping that, keeping the music. Oh my goodness! Well, there was a quarter of a house full of people. And they were distanced back from the stage far, whereas it used to be like you couldn't even breathe in there. There'd be so many people.
I know, man. No, I want to be right. I want to get the sweat flying off of the bandstand,
Well, that's how it was before, yes. And the band, we were so excited to play because I've only played once in front of people since March. And man, the band just lit up with joy, and the people felt it, and it was rocking in there, man. It was beautiful.
Wow.
Back to the record though. This record is a straight ahead jazz record, and in answer to your question, since it looks like the search for my computer
this is just you have to throw up that quote later online or something.
As soon as
because I know, dude, I'm glad you're writing. Keep writing, man.
Yeah.
Keep writing, man.
Well, anyway, but here's part of this gig.
Right.
I mean, part of this record. I was asked to write something for the record, and here's what I wrote. Something like this, but of course I proofread it and had it all perfect. So now it's just going to come out of my brain because I can't remember it.
No, I don't want you to give a bastardized version of it. You got to find it eventually. You know.
Well, my wife is in the other room asleep, so that could get weird if I go in there.
No, don't. No, I'm saying like even if it doesn't happen on the interview, let me know what it said. Write it out. You know.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, let me give you this part of it though, because there's one part of it I do know. I said each day I try to align myself with the universe so that I can communicate better with people.
Yeah, I think that's I think that's beautiful. I think that well, you said that earlier. That was the whole point of chanting was to align with the universal truth.
Right, and then correct. And then I went on to say that like I'm no longer it's no longer about what I can get out of life. At this point, it's about what I can give back. And that's the statement. I might have
you nailed it. I mean, that's it, man. That's Michael Shreve. That's the Stickmen. That's what it's all about, man. That's what you guys have taught me. I get satisfaction. I continue to have drive to do this because even at 42, I just want to make other people feel good.
Absolutely, man. And you are. I read all your stuff.
I know. I don't know what I'm saying is the point is, Mike, I'm a living testament to this stuff. It feels good. There's plenty of blues alleys, but I mean, you know, the salvation is knowing that you're affecting energy, like you said, beyond the level of potential coincidence. It's gone beyond that, so that it feels like it's almost magical, like you said, but things manifest. But it's just an organic path. You started that path musically way back when, and we're lucky to have you. I wish there were about 49 million more of you because, we need more individual sound in music, man. And I think that's what you're talking about is giving back, giving people a chance to, through your own rhythms and your own life story, just be yourself on the bandstand.
Well, look at Todd Barkin. Oh. He's fighting to keep the music alive down there in Baltimore, running that big club during this tough time. Like, these cats are warriors, man. They're you know what I want to say?
Yeah.
This is important. This says all of this better than I can say it. The other night, and I don't think it's going to be up until March again, but I'm not sure. I watched film called Bass to Infinity, and it's the story of Buster Williams' life.
Wow.
And he's talking and playing, and there's a lot of great artists, the great Kenny Barron, Lenny White,
Cats, man.
Larry Willis, Rufus Reed, another Sacramento brother like me. I'm from Sac, so I don't know if he was born there, but he sure went to Sac
man.
High.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
Oh,
but I mean, now Buster, his intonation, his sound, his choice of walking lines to perpetuate the swing and also make it interesting for himself. I mean, wow. But it's also in his voice and in his heart. He just was the epitome of the guy I want to follow. I don't want to be like him. I want to be like me, but I want to follow a guy like that. If I would, who would I follow? That guy.
Dude, and honestly, the one thing I feel about his playing with I don't care if it's with the Jazz Crusaders in an acoustic setting or with, Joe Farrell and the late great Chick Corea in the early 70s, because I know you put up that Sound Down, that whole album. Dude, the one word to describe his playing is attitude. He brings attitude, and he brings his full life force into the music, whatever it is. It's awesome.
There you go. His full life. And he discusses this about Buddhism. He says something about, well, let's say all the activities that you handle are flowers. So some chanting it's like pouring, nurturing those flowers. It's like nurturing those, and so naturally the flower of music grows. Now, I'm paraphrasing, I can't say, but the things, just the film itself, just his life, and other people in their lives, Lenny White, all these people. That's the real jazz musicians, and not just jazz musicians. I mean, of course, jazz musicians are going to love this film, but I wish everybody could see this. I watched it the other night, and one of the best moves I've made in a long time. It was a movie that made a difference to me. It impacted me.
I mean, is it on Netflix? Where is it available?
No, it's there was some. I'm going to send you a link, and today was the last day, or the 24th was the last day. I don't even know the date today. I've been teaching all day.
That's all right. Yeah.
But I think it's going to be playing again in March. It's not going to go away. It'll be showing up here. But I'll send you something to do with the Portland Jazz Festival, I believe. And there's a company that's putting on. So I know.
Listen, I know you got to go back to teaching. Mike, we'll do this again, man. And it's great to hear your voice. Keep doing your thing. Don't change a thing. Stay on the righteous path, bro.
All right, brother. You too. It's great to hear you, and that was fun, man.
Yeah, man. That's what I did. You know who I interviewed right before you, and I spun him out of the controls, Johnny Vidakovich. So I got two.
Oh, Lord,
I got both. I mean, both you guys, man. You guys are spinning to the universe, right? The doc.
Send him my love if you talk to him, man.
Absolutely.
And his lovely wife too. And I want to say one thing before I go. One quick thing.
Go ahead.
This is unabashed, shameful self-promotion.
No prefacing. Go ahead.
The record that I have coming out is going to be called Mic Drop, because Mike Zilber and I are both the leaders. So, Mic Drop.
Yes.
But the music is killing, and I feel like I'm made a statement that's worth everybody's attention on this record. But also, I have a book out called the Post Bop Drum Book on Hudson music. And I guess it's fresh in my brain because for 3 days I've been teaching 6 and 7 hours a day.
Dude, you're on. No, I mean, just listen, balance out. Make sure you give yourself time to recuperate. Don't burn so hard. It's all there for you, man. You got a wide road. You're not going anywhere.
No, I'm staying. So
yeah, you are staying, man.
And with that, I'm going to.
Adios, man. All right, be cool, man.
Okay, man.
Yeah, later on, dude.
Let me ask you one thing.
Yeah.
Right quick. I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
You're in Arizona, right?
Tucson, yes. Tucson.
Okay, so you're in Tucson. I know, right? Okay. Now let me ask you this. Now, do you ever encounter scorpions or black widows?
I've been here since 2003, and I've never encountered either.
That's fantastic, because I was terrorized by those suckers in Fort Worth, and I know some of my friends that live in Albuquerque.
Well, no, now that I said that, it's going to hit me really hard, But,
no, don't go there.
No, but it's cool. I'm not, hoping to turn the corner here with COVID real soon, Mike. But truly, I pick up that Cats Volume 1 and let me know what you think of the flow. I know you're going to dig the stories, but I'd love to get your feedback because it's an endless well of enlightenment. You're going to be in one pretty soon, so you're in.
I'm hooking that baby up tonight. That'll give us something to read. We read each night, right?
No, June and you are going to you're going to get off on both volumes. So yeah, dig them.
Totally. Right. Okay, bro.
Yo, man, be cool, man. Be cool.
Okay, over and out.
Yeah, later. Well, keep me going here on the Jake Feinberg Show. Johnny Vidakovich and then Mike Clark, a couple of drummers and incredible human beings. That's it for the Jake Feinberg Show. We'll be back tomorrow. Until then, peace.